Hey everyone, it's Adriana and welcome back to a new month, a new video, and a new class. First off, I do want to say I'm sorry for the delay in the videos between battling a cold and then dealing with some other issues and then just battling through with this particular class. I just haven't had much time to sit down and listen back to my recordings and then edit them into a video, but I am working on it and I am just trying to get them done as quickly as I can. But for now, let's get started with this video. This video is gonna be for the class that I'm currently in right now, Linear Algebra, and I'm gonna talk about what I learned in week 1 and my first impressions of this class. Let's get started. The instructor, his name is Richard, and then I'm not sure how to say his last name, so I'm just gonna refer to him as Professor Richard. And he is an instructor that has a very heavy and thick accent, and therefore you can't really understand him. Math is not my strongest subject, and I know for a lot of people math is not their strongest subject. And I know in the past schools that I've been to, I did a math class, and the instructor, he was from Greece, and he had a really, really bad accent where I couldn't really understand him. I ended up not doing very well in that class. But when I took that class, the resources weren't really as good back then as they are now. And thankfully, with the help of YouTube, this is how I've been surviving this linear algebra class. Because unfortunately, I cannot understand the majority of what Professor Richard is saying, and that's not really going to help me. And how this class is structured, for week 1, there's the getting started section with the 5 items, has the class intro, the meet your instructor, a little intro video, and then the class assistance section is just the live lectures that I have a lot to say on how they're structured as well. And then professionalism, of course, that's nothing unusual. And then for library, it's just basically referring to the Full Sail library for additional help with looking for textbooks and any other resources. And then each week there is a few lessons, and then there's quizzes per each lesson, with each of them only allowing up to 2 attempts. Then there's the weekly projects. And you probably have seen already, right below getting started, there's the Python computing section. Now at first, when I saw this, I thought, oh my god, I'm going to have to start learning Python, and I'm trying to get myself to understand Python, even though I'm still trying to understand C++. No, this class, you do not need to learn Python, and you don't even have to do the weekly projects. They're worth 0% of your grade. They don't count towards anything. And in my opinion, they're pointless. They're pointless, and there's no point in doing them. And I've decided not to do them because learning linear algebra, while it is important, it's especially for my future career in the gaming industry, it is not an easy subject to learn, and then on top of math doesn't really come easy for me, I'm not going to waste my time trying to learn Python to then try to do these projects that they're not going to count towards my grade anyway. They're optional, you don't need to do them, and that's why I'm not doing them. And for the lessons, for this week was all about a review of calculus. It's been several months since I did calculus, so I did need this refresher. For each week, there's the lesson overview. He gives you a bunch of notes, which the notes, I will say, they are very thorough, they're very specific, but really to understand them, you kind of have to follow along with the videos. And for me, since I can't really understand anything he's saying, the videos are not helpful for me whatsoever, and I am having to resort to outside resources, mainly YouTube, to help me learn linear algebra and to understand what I'm being taught so that I can work on the quizzes and pass them and get a good grade. To prepare for the calculus quiz and to pass it, the notes that were provided by the professor, it went over things such as functions, trig functions in particular, limits, differentiation, derivative, rate of change, stuff like that. Also went over derivative rules, particular, power rule, the derivative of trig functions, sum rules, product rule, and then integration rules, definite integration, partial derivative, and that was it for calculus. And then from there, the quiz was where 5% of the grade was 10 questions. I got an 80 on the first attempt, and then I went back and then I got the full 100 for the second attempt. And then for the first part of the new stuff for linear algebra, there was the chapter 1 lesson and then the chapter 2 lesson. Chapter 1 was learning about vectors in 3D space. For the new topics for week 1, chapter 1 specifically went over how vectors work in the 3D space and how the vector space works. And topics that was gone over in all of the lecture videos that I didn't watch, but it also was covered in all the PDF notes, was the use of 3D vectors in the space of r to the third, and the Euclidean inner product space, its spaces, the dimension of a vector space, and linear combination of vectors. For chapter 1, there was a lot, but it went over the main deal of the vectors in 3D space, vector norm, normalized vectors and unit vectors, parallel and collinear vectors, building a vector from two given points, aka vertices, vector algebra, vector calculus, vector space, subspace, and Rn, and then inner product space. And then chapter 2 was on matrix, basis, and dimension. Chapter 2, matrix. briefly what a matrix is. It's a rectangular array of numbers or symbols arranged in rows and columns. It's used in a lot of subjects, including game development, simulation, computer sciences, physics, engineering, all that stuff. So it will be very valuable for me to learn and understand for future courses and in my future career. And as far as what I learned this week, I learned a lot. What a matrix is, the transpose of a matrix, column, row vectors, trace of a matrix, again, more on trace, and then special matrices using addition, matrix using multiplication, and then system of linear equations and augmented matrix, row reduction matrix, rank of a matrix, linear dependence and independence using matrix echelon form. I'm probably saying that way wrong. But certain words I can't really say correctly, and that's due to my speech impediment, but I do try my best. Bases using matrices, reduce row echelon form, or RREF. Bases of a matrix row space, column space in a matrix, and then basis of a matrix null space, and then finally the change of basis. And for them quizzes, I got an 84 on the first attempt, and then I took a couple days, and then I retried, and I got the full 100 points. And then for chapter 2 on matrix, I got 80 on first attempt, 88 on the second attempt. That subject was a bit tricky for me. And then of course for the project, I just marked it as completed. I didn't actually do it because I saw no point, because you do have to use Python to complete it. For now though, that will be it for week 1. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you guys in the next video. If you have any questions, you know what to do. Comment below, shoot me a private message, and I will answer when I can. Thanks again. Bye.